Let's see if it becomes. Hello. Hey, Mad Shed, how you doing? Tricia, hello. Garth, how y'all doing today? Been a long, boring day for me. Delivered a load early this morning, came over to pick up this load. It was supposed to be done yesterday, and I've been sitting here since around 11 o'clock this morning. So, yeah, it's been one of those days, man. So what should we talk about today? There's all sorts of weird shit in the news. You notice I've been reading a lot of news articles lately, and there is an awful lot of stuff being blamed on global warming here recently. Hey, Hudal, how you doing? Um, like the lumber shortage, they're blaming a lot of that on the global warming, climate change, whatever the heck you want to call it. I mean, they're saying that because the temperatures are rising, that insects that destroy pine trees are coming down out of Mexico or out of Canada and spreading along and destroying pine trees all across the northern hemisphere here. It's they in the article they showed this big swath of pine trees where basically pine trees were dying off, and it was basically a sea of kind of brownish red coloring. And then how many of y'all know we're running out of sand? Yeah. Hey Joe, how you doing? Be charming. Susan, how's everybody? Trying to figure out how to invite people in here. I'm not used to really doing this. Yeah, I know, right, man, Jed? Yeah, they're saying that the silica in the sand is basically what we're running out of. They're saying that with third world countries like India and so forth becoming more modernized, that we're using more sand for construction, concrete roads, all that kind of stuff, and that it's causing a shortage worldwide. Yeah, I know. There's a lot of trees everywhere, right? Yeah, I wish my dad been a little bit better. I ain't really. I mean, yeah, I'm making $20 an hour just sitting, but you know, I'd rather be rolling. I can make more money that way. But, it is what it is. Yeah, I know. That's what I said. Have they tried checking the deserts? Yeah. I mean, last I knew, I mean, you had the Sahara Desert, you had Death Valley, and all of that. There's plenty of sand there. I mean, plenty of it on the beaches. And if they're really thinking we're running out of sand, I mean, you can vacuum it off of the bottom of the ocean floor. I mean, there's a lot of sand down there. Right? They can't print it out like money or like meat, huh? Yeah, I'll stick with real meat. Um, just my my particular taste. I've tried some of these other meat sources, and nah, it's not for me. That's some nasty stuff. Yeah, I didn't get to watch the Prepperty last night. I got watched a little bit of it, but not much. Some of those questions I wasn't quite understanding the question itself, so it kind of confused me on some of them. But, oh, nothing like pure Angus beef and real pork, and I'm not in any big hurry to try the bug burgers and stuff like that. Rip curl one, huh? Cherokee got second. Yeah, some of those questions were kind of out there. I wasn't quite following what they were. Uh, what the meaning of the question was, and then when they'd show the answers, I was like, oh, okay, now I get it. Now I understand the question. You know, and maybe it was just that I was tired last night. Active mass shooter in Colorado unconfirmed. I kind of predicted that in a video I'd made prior to the confirmation, of Biden. I said that once he takes office, we're going to start seeing mass shootings and riots are going to amp up and all of that kind of stuff. And I'm just waiting for my prediction that he's going to get us into a major war to come true here shortly. Yeah, right, man, Chad. That's what I was thinking when I was listening to some of those questions. I was like, um, can we dumb this down a little bit and not make it all bureaucratic? Put it in a layman's terms. Hi, Teresa. How you doing? Uh, uh, I'm actually kind of thankful that I've got more years behind me than I have ahead of me, because I really don't want to see where all this is going to take us. I mean, uh, it's getting out of control. Yeah, yeah, he has been poking the bear, that's for sure, Teresa. I mean, yeah, the thing is, I mean, I'm guessing that our next world war is not going to be against some of these little countries that we've been having little arguments with. It's going to be something major. We're going to go up against China or Russia or something like that. I mean, as bad as the Democrats hate Russia, I'm looking more toward there. Yeah, definitely time to get our houses in order. I mean, that's why where I live, we've been building our bug out location. Eventually, we'll move out there, but right now it's still work in progress. Oh, it's already harder for our kids, Garth. I mean, my kids are struggling compared to what I was whenever I was their age. I mean, think about this. I got married the first time I was 17 years old. I had my first kid by the time I was 18, and owned my own home and two cars by the time I was 19. Worked a really good job, made really good money. And my kids couldn't couldn't live the life that I lived at that time. I mean, the opportunities aren't there for them like they were when I was younger. I mean, it's and the BS that they're teaching these kids in school isn't going to help them in real life. I mean, it's gotten. I mean, I tried helping my daughter with her math, and I did it old school math, and then she went to school, turned in even though she had the right answers, they failed her on the homework because she didn't do the new math. I'm like, what does it matter as long as she comes up with the proper answer? You know, the Russian beehive got kicked in the Black Sea. The whole Russian naval fleet is in there. The NATO is messing. Okay, whoop. NATO is messing with them, and yes, we got some boats on there. Yeah. Sorry, I had to scroll down and read what Mad Chat had wrote. Yeah, we don't need 10 different theories to solve a math problem. I mean, math is math any way that you look at it. She shouldn't have to use a half a page of paper to solve a problem that I can solve in one line on the paper. That just behooves me how they want that stuff done. I would love to homeschool my kids, Teresa, but me being out on the road, not a very good situation for homeschooling. My wife, my current wife, she has a learning disability, so she couldn't teach kids. My ex-wife is is just too lazy to teach the kids at home. So I mean, it is what it is. Oh well, we are weak now. I mean, Teresa, China and Russia, yes, they've been playing games since Trump, but Trump was checkmating them at every turn. Now we, we have become an extremely weak society with our current administration in there. I mean, you know, uh, yeah, I don't do very many lives because normally I don't have a lot of time. But I, I've been sitting all day. I'm still sitting here. There's a green light waiting. The lights never turned red yet for them to even start loading my trailer. So, I mean, they're going to owe me some serious money by the time I get out of this dock. Oh no, they can't teach them real history because if they teach them real history, Teresa, then they can't pull the wool over their eyes and they can't take away their rights because they'll know what their rights are. I mean, as like I'd explained in a few other videos and a few live streams with other people, my daughter, when she graduated the 8th grade, they didn't give her a constitution test or even the flag code test or anything like that. She had no clue what her rights as a U.S. citizen are. And now, see, when I was in school, when I graduated from the 8th grade to go into the ninth, you had to pass a constitution test and you had to know the code of the flag and all that. Now, I mean, they taught her world history, but not U.S. history. And social studies is what they're calling it too. I'm like, okay, fine. Social studies is fine, but in the early development of a child, they need to learn about the U.S. history so that they know their own history before you go trying to do all the rest of the world. Yeah, civics is long gone. It's been history for a long time. You know, uh, I mean, if you went into the Capitol right now and gave civics tests to any of the politicians, I guarantee you none of them would pass the civics test. They have no civics. They have no clue about anything. Damn. Serious, Garth? I mean, the senior in high school hasn't studied the Constitution yet. Wow. I mean, uh, I started learning about the Constitution when I was in like the fourth grade, and they taught it all the way up to the eighth grade, and you had to pass that in order to be able to move on in school. Oh yeah, I know that they've been planning this for a long time, Teresa. I mean, I've watched them dumb down the kids over the years. I mean, even my generation, they weren't teaching as much as they'd taught in the generation before. It's sad. I mean, yeah, the preamble in the fourth and fifth grade. See, I mean, it's they want to keep you dumb so that within the next two generations, I'm figuring that's when they'll have their best chance of taking your rights away, because none of those generations are really going to know what their rights are, so they're not going to miss them until it's too late. You know, yeah. See, I'm a Generation X myself, so an exclusive order for U.S. history and civics to be taught in school. But oh yeah, I mean, as soon as the new administration came in, all of Trump's uh, educational decrees just kind of went out the window. You know, now, I agree. Trade school is the best way, Teresa. You know, I I know kids. Well, they're adults, but I call them kids because they're so young still. But I know some young adults, a lot of them actually, that spent a lot of money going to college, and they went for computer science and all that kind of stuff, and can't find a job. But you look around out here, there's plenty of trade school jobs. I mean, what I do is a trade school job. You know, my brother, I convinced him not to go because I put myself through college for an education I don't even use. Okay, I spent a couple of $100,000 altogether on an education I don't have any use for. I don't even work in those fields. But my brother was going to go to college, and I talked him into going to trade school instead. Now he's a welder and he makes great money. You're be charming. I think you're the boomer generation there. You notice the family, the size of a family nowadays is shrunk down to most of the younger generations. The most children that they're having are maybe one or two kids. I mean, I come from a family with seven kids, and a friend of mine, there was 13 of them. When they were growing up, 13 of their children. And they lived in a two-bedroom house. you know, and they used to joke around that they had the storage room, which was where all the kids slept, and then they had the breeding chamber where the parents slept. Yeah, uh, it was. Yeah, I agree. I mean, before technology was the best time to grow up in. Honestly, I mean, kids nowadays, I don't see very many kids out and about doing anything outside. And then when they are, they got their face stuck in a tablet or a phone or some BS like that. When I was a kid, we went out, we got hurt, we did stupid things, but we lived, we learned, we had fun, you know. And social gatherings, I mean, if you want to know where your friends were, you go look around town and find where all the bicycles were at, and that was generally where your friends were at. You know, ooh, the baby of 14 kids. Oof. Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, I've got 10 kids of my own. Well, I've got 5 biological kids, uh, 3 stepchildren, and 2 adopted children. So, I mean, I've got a lot of kids myself. You know, 12 of 16. Damn. Oh, Lord. He offers kids scholarships for trade schools, but the kids don't even want to do the work. No, that's the thing is, parents have gone too easy on their kids nowadays. So kids grow up, they're lazy. They don't want to do a damn thing. Now, I didn't go easy on my kids. I made them do a lot of hard work. I mean, my son, when he was, what, 12, 13 years old, I had him out there splitting wood with me, swinging a heavy 10-pound maul axe, you know. Uh, and their punishments a lot of times was hard labor. My son, one time, he he done something that had ticked me off. So I told him I wanted him to go out, dig a hole 4 foot wide, 6 foot long, and 4 foot deep. And then he spent all day and most of the night out there digging it out. He come in, he was dragging ass. I mean, he was tired. And the next morning, I went in and I woke him up. He'd only got maybe 4 or 5 hours of sleep. I went in, I woke him up. I go, "Hey, time to get up. What am I getting up so early for?" "Well, you got to go fill that hole in." "Well, why'd you have me dig the hole if I was just going to fill it in?" "Because now you know where I'm going to bury you if you do that again." That's what I told him. Oh, I got, oh, Joe, when I was a kid, corporal punishment was a fact of life. I mean, my own grandmother shot me in the ass with a shotgun loaded with rock salt and bacon rinds. I mean, it was. I didn't sit down for a good long time, you know, and I literally did pick my own switch, and if it wasn't a switch, it was a razor strap. So, it was, uh, a lot of times there was blood drawn on me during punishment. But you know what? I learned my lesson. I never did that shit again. I used to threaten laughing to no, Homestead House, when my kids wouldn't get out of bed, I'd just flip the bed over with them in it. No, it, I didn't play that. You got up and even in the summertime, I'd wake them up and I'd kick them out of the house. I was a bit of a stickler about that. I didn't want them hanging around inside the house. Did Wayne break his arm? I must have missed that. I've been gone for about 4 or 5 days. I had to take a break with all the BS drama going around in the community here lately. It was just getting to me. I mean, and I needed some time to calm down. Really, man, Jed, that shit hurts, doesn't it? I mean, I didn't sit down for a good long time, and it, it, but I did learn a lesson. I never mouthed off to my grandmother again and ran off, because she got me as I was running away after I mouthed off to her. Oh, Lord. Sorry, I'm reading some of these comments. Some of them are pretty funny. Yeah, right, Garth. I mean, I'm not here for drama. I don't really care what other channels are doing, except when it came to, you subjects that I'm just going to leave it at that, with what happened. You know, but as far as the other drama going on, who cares? I mean, it's minor, petty things. People got to fight about something, I guess. Yeah. I mean, you know, here we talk about we need to unify and we all need to come together as a people, and we can't even get along with each other a lot of times. And I'm just like, how does that make us any better than those out there that are rioting and in the streets and stuff? You know, all I heard was get out of my damn garden, and then boom. Oh Lord. Uh, yeah. Well, mine, mad Chad was my grandmother had told me to do something, and I mouthed off to her and told her I wasn't going to do it. And then I turned around and started running away, and all I heard was the boom, and then I felt the rock salt in my skin, and boy, that put a stop to that real quick. You know, it took a while for that rock salt to melt after it had penetrated the skin. So, and while it was melting, it was burning. Whiskey would have done it. You wouldn't have felt a thing. Uh, I don't know. I still feel a lot of pain when I get drunk. Be charming. I mean, so is Wayne okay then, or what's going on? I'm kind of catching parts of the chat here. So, anybody got anything they want to talk about? Just throw anything out here. Yeah, leather belts. Been there, done that. I hated the Hot Wheels tracks. Those things killed me. I got one for Christmas, got my ass beat with it the day after Christmas, and the day after that, it was in the trash. You know, so yeah, it was. I was quite the mischievous child myself, but you know, compared to what the kids nowadays are getting into, that was nothing. You know, I mean, belt kid. Yep, samurai with the broom. Yeah, I could believe that. You know, I was what about 14, 15 years old, and I'd moved back in with my mom and my siblings for a while. And I come home, and two of my older brothers were having a fight. And my second oldest brother likes to throw things when he gets mad. So I walked through the door, and as soon as I walked through the door, I got hit between the eyes with a crescent wrench. And all I did, I looked, and I seen my brother standing next to the toolbox, and he had another tool in his hand, and I knew exactly where what had happened. He threw the damn wrench in. It, I mean, I wasn't really thinking all that much because you know I was pissed, but I went flying across the living room, and our kitchen was just kind of a downgrade. You know, it was recessed down lower than the rest of the house. I come off that top step, and I just come down, and I started pounding on him, and I was I was just so pissed off that I didn't check my rage or nothing, and well, I broke his jaw, and I'm still pounding on him, and my mom, she comes in there. She first took this broom that had a handle about like that, and she whopped me over the head and broke the broomstick, and it didn't even phase me. I'm still sitting there just pounding my brother, and he at this point he's finally passed out unconscious, and I'm still beating on him. And she got my attention real quick when she grabbed the iron skillet and whopped me upside the head with it. And all of a sudden I had this trickle of blood running down my forehead and down my nose. I wiped it, and I looked, and I turned around and I looked at my mom. She dropped that skillet and took off running. But you know, I I was when I get mad, I kind of become a totally different beast. But anyhow, you know, After everything had calmed down, my mom come in, she picked up the skillet, and she was looking at it, and she looks at me and she goes, you know, you owe me a new iron skillet. I was like, what the hell do you mean, Mom? She's like, you cracked my iron skull. I go, I didn't crack a damn thing. You cracked my skull. You know, but I wound up having to buy my mom a new iron skillet because of that. Yeah, it was growing up around my siblings and my mom and everybody. I mean, it was a war zone. I mean, my oldest brother, when I was living with my mom for a while, he come into my bedroom trying to wake me up, and I'm you don't touch me when I'm asleep because I come up swinging, and I jumped up out of bed when he grabbed me, and I just literally threw him through my bedroom wall into the living room, and basically made a second door to my bedroom. My oldest brother, growing up, one of the problems with him was he's a psychopath. He wanted to be an only child, so he tried to kill all the other kids in the family. He actually sat on my second oldest brother's chest and shoved a funnel down his throat and poured gas or kerosene down his gullet. He wound up it burned his esophagus, and half of it he lost half of his stomach because of it. And then my oldest sister, he shoved her down 3 flights of stairs. He locked me in the garage and set it on fire, and we had the old oil stoves, and that's where the oil tank was at. Well, luckily there was some remodeling going on around the house, so there was some oak doors there, and I hid behind those when the garage blew up. I mean, it blew up, and I wound up losing every bit of hair on my head, my eyebrows, everything. But I lived through it, but I was hurt pretty bad. You know. Well, have a good one, homesteading in the heartland. Yeah, I was bullied a lot as a kid, and made me a monster when provoked. Can understand it. And in my family, you'd have to meet my family in order to understand. I mean, we all, at one point or another, damn near killed each other. Now, I mean, uh, some of the stupid stuff was just, it was over childish stuff, you know. Uh, I'd have killed him. Yeah, family. We've put each other in the hospital. I mean, my I had to have surgery on my right ear because my brother busted my eardrum. It was he wanted to. I just bought a car and he wanted to take it while he was drunk and test drive it, and I told him no. And then I closed the door and I went and sat down before I could even get up out of the chair when he came in the house. I mean, he done popped me upside the head right in that ear 5 times. And I mean, he was quick and he's got a lot of power. And all of a sudden, that fifth hit, the blood just shot out of my ear across the room. And I couldn't even stand up. I mean, it totally screwed my equilibrium up. But, we survived it. That's the thing, uh, parents nowadays, they don't even let their children fight it out. I mean, don't let them go as far as me and my siblings did. I mean, we got carried away trying to really hurt each other, but let them duke it out for a while. You know, that's what I did with my kids. I would let them fight it out for a good little while until somebody would actually get hurt a little bit or whatever. Then I'd step in and separate them and all that. But you gotta let them fight. Otherwise, you're going to be raising a bunch of wussies and these kids that can't handle anything and need a safe space to go to, and you don't want that for your kids. You know, but I was bullied too. Then learned that no one would mess with him once he was no one in town messed with him. Soy boys, exactly, Garth. That was the word I was looking for. I mean, because our parents let us fight stuff out, and I mean, it became a bloodbath. They'd let us take it way too far, you know. Uh, my oldest brother, he's a big boy. He's 6'3", and at the time he was 3 1/4. He, I mean, nobody in the family would go toe to toe with him except me, and he'd hit me, and I'd go flying. I'd come flying back at him. Ooh, they finally starting to load me. But hell, I snapped his knee in order to win the fight before. I mean, we got carried away. I picked up cinder blocks and busted them over my brother's head and stuff. It's uh, we got a lot of battle scars just from growing up. And we didn't even spend that much time together as kids because we were always being bounced from one family member to another, and we'd come back together as a family for a year or two, and then we'd be separated again. And we really got to know each other as adults and discovered none of us really like each other. Honestly, I mean, the only one that I really get along with in my family is my baby brother, but that's because when he was born, I was 8 years old, and my father was in prison, and my mom come home from the hospital, and she handed him to me and said, "Here, you take care of him. I'm going to bed." Now, I'd never changed a diaper, made formula, none of that. I didn't know what the hell I was doing, but I wound up learning pretty quick, you know. And I raised him until he was about 12 years old, you know. So I mean, there was a few years where I wasn't there, but uh, hell, I was the first person he called dad, you know. So kids nowadays, I don't think any kids that I know of really nowadays could handle the kind of responsibilities I had as a kid. You know, so you guys are 15. How old do you want to get? Uh, Me? Uh, you talking to me, King of Fun? Um, Honestly, myself, I don't see myself making it past my mid 60s. I mean, I've done a lot of damage to my body. People would be surprised if I told them all the damage that's happened to me. I mean, of course, I've told some of it, like been shot, stabbed, beaten, blown up, ran over. I mean, I've got a plate in my head, steel pins in my back. Both my knees have been replaced. I've done some serious damage to myself. Now, unfortunately, in my family, there seems to be a very long lifespan. Um, my grandparents all lived to be up into their mid to late 80s to, well, my grandmother on my mom's side, she lived to be almost 100. So, 110 years old. No, that's quite all right. Is the old man afraid of? Who cares? You're going to die of something. I mean, that's just, you know, I mean, I figure life itself will kill me before lung cancer would kill me. That's me personally, I mean, hell, the job I do driving truck, I've come close to death several times because of idiots around me, so I don't, the thing is, you can't live your life being afraid of what's going to happen to you, or how you'll die or anything like that. If you live your life in fear of what might happen, you'll never experience life. And that's been my philosophy since I was young. I mean, I never let the idea that I could die from something stop me from trying it. Actually, Merkel, it's actually a composite plate. It's not a everybody, we all just call it a steel plate, but it's actually a Kevlar based composite plate. So it doesn't actually set off the dinger at the airport. The only real metal in it is the titanium screws that embedded into my skull, and titanium doesn't set those off for some reason. So, but I do carry a card in my wallet that if I go through TSA or whatever, they don't run me through there anymore. They pull me around. They do the wand and all that. They do a full pat down, all that kind of stuff, because of the pins in my back. Happens after you get married or have the cure. Um, Actually, settling down. Uh, I don't know if I've ever actually really settled down. I mean, uh, as far as taking care of family and stuff, that's always been a priority. But settling down as far as my wild side, I never really settled down myself. You know, hell, I'll still go out to the bar and get into a fight with some jackass or whatever. Wasn't that long ago actually that my wife and I and some of my trucking buddies, we were laid over at the terminal, so we went down to the local bar, and this punk kid come in there talking about how he was AWOL from the military, and we knew he was full of BS. And then he started talking a bunch of other stuff. And my buddy he was a veteran that lost a lot of friends over in Vietnam, and the the kid and him got into it, and then some other guy got into it, and so I wound up having to step in, and the guy that wasn't even involved that decided he was going to get into it. When I stepped in, he decided he was going to hit me in the chest, and I mean, he hit me with everything he had, and I looked at him and I was like, dude, if that's the most you've got, you might want to just start running now, because if I hit you, I'm going to kill you. And if I let him, my buddy, hit you, I mean, he'll kill you twice. So you might want to just back off and get the hell out of here. But I mean, when you hit me and it feels like a damn mosquito, it's you ain't got nothing behind you. You better run. My cousin, that's off all the alarms everywhere. The arthritis surgeries. Yeah, I'm worried about that. I went to the doctor a couple of weeks ago, and you know, um, if you watched my video from earlier, I think it was like in January or something like that, where I had to dive under my trailer to get away from the guy that beside me, where his trailer was sliding into mine, and I dislocated my shoulder. Well, I had it put back in place and everything, but now I've got a bone spur in there, and they're wanting to do surgery on that. And I'm not really up for another surgery. You know, it's just I've been cut on too much already in my life. You and I mean, yeah, my arm it hurts constantly now, but and I wake up, I can barely move it, but uh, as long as I'm still able to get feeling back in it, I don't know if I want to go in for surgery. Do you own steel balls for slingshot and an SHTF? Actually, I do. I have a couple of wrist rockets that are really good. I have all sorts of ball bearings, different sizes that I use in there. And well, if nothing else, I can use rocks. Um, and a slingshot's great for hunting. I mean, in an SHTF, I'm going to save my ammo. Okay, I'm not going to waste my ammunition hunting. That's what I have. A recurve bow and a compound bow, and and wrist rocket and all that stuff for is hunting. My ammunition will be for self-defense. Grandmother died at 102 in 2018. Yeah, well, she lived a good long life. I mean, I know what it's like to miss your grandmother. I mean, my grandmother and my grandfather basically raised me on my father's side, but they taught me a lot about life, and taught me how to do a lot, how to survive, how to what the value of hard work is. And I grew up because I when I was a little kid and I was living with them, I was around 2 years old. I begged my grandfather not to kill the runt piglets, and because I begged him to not do that, he made me have to bottle feed them and raise them. And now, whenever they got grown and went to auction or whatever, I got the money from the hogs because I raised them and they became mine. But well, no super chat because I am not monetized. Okay, there's no pay sending super chats to me. I don't have enough subscribers to get monetized. I don't know if I'd want to be monetized because apparently in this community, if you get monetized, basically everybody starts telling you you're after money and all this kind of stuff. I'm not here after money, people. Okay, if people want to donate to my channel, they can feel free to donate. I leave links in my videos to it. If they don't, hey, I'm perfectly fine with that. How you doing, engineering? Underwater lesbian ballet. Okay. But yeah, I mean, I I don't know if I really want to be monetized, honestly. I mean, yeah, I could use the money just like anybody else in the country could use the money. Times are tough. I've been taking care of a lot of people through this pandemic and helping other people, and it's zapped my savings. Like I said, I spent over $45,000 this past year just helping other people. And that's not including paying my own bills and stuff. So, but I'm not I'm not here for the money, so I don't want people to think that I'm here for money either. You know, yeah, I don't know. I didn't see anybody else live, and I've been sitting in a dock, so I just figured I'd go live. You know, now see, I have a degree in criminal psychology. I have a degree in juvenile justice. I have forensic science. I have a master's degree in forensic science. I spent a lot of money on that degree, only to come to find out that nobody would hire me once I'd gotten a master's degree in it, because the police departments, everyone I've applied to, they all tell me, well, we can't afford you to pay for pay you what your education is worth, therefore we're not going to hire you. I'm like, okay, well, what education would I have needed in order for you guys to hire me? Well, you should have stopped at a bachelor's. And I'm like, okay, well, pay me what you'd pay for a bachelor's degree. It's better than not having a damn job in the field that I studied. I spent all that damn time putting in, and I mean, so I went, I did the body farms, all that stuff. And I mean, this is some nasty stuff, people. And I spent all that time doing all that, only to find out that I can't even get a damn job in the field that I was wanting to go into because I'm overeducated for it. That boggled my mind. I mean, it's like I said, I spent a couple of $100,000 on my education, and what good it did me. Total waste of time and tuition cash. Yep. Yeah, I don't care whether people donate to my channel or not. I mean, that's up to them. I could care less. I mean, I'm here to try to help people. If somebody's got questions that they need answered, there I tell them, look, you can email me anything you want. If I can't give you an answer to it, I'll find a way to get you an answer either through somebody else, or I'll do the research myself to try to help you through whatever you're having an issue with. Actually, we do have a bunker at our bug out location, but the bunker actually, when I bought the property at our bug out location, we tore down the old farmhouse that was there, and turns out that there was a 4-bedroom bunker that was built back in the 50s under the house, off to the through a secret little passage area. Anyhow, we have been restoring it. It had some foundational issues where it was water was leaking through, and it had about a foot or so of water standing in it. So we pumped all that out. We dug it up, and we patched it up and got everything solid again. But we still got a lot more work to do on it. Uh, yeah, I've thought about the merge thing, SHTF engineer. You know, if people want the merch, I've got ideas for T-shirts and stuff like that, but I haven't really done a whole lot. My daughter literally running out. Oh yeah. Mm. I'm sorry to hear that, man. Our bad. It Yeah, I have major issues with stuff like that. Uh, like I said, I've been through all that kind of stuff, and I'm a member of organizations that helps to fight that kind of stuff. But I, uh, that's things that she will have nightmares with for the rest of her life, more than likely. I'm hoping that maybe you're getting her some counseling for that. You know, all vocational schools who now are way better than big colleges. I mean, you go to a vocational school, by the time you graduate, you've only spent a couple of years, and you can pay that debt off within a year or two, really, and so you're debt free at a much quicker pace. So I always suggest that people stop sending their kids to the colleges and send them to trade schools, vocational, all that, because all you're doing is throwing your money down the drain for your kids to be brainwashed at a college nowadays. I mean, they don't teach, they preach their message, and it's worked in a trafficking task force in my agency. Had to put it because I thought a day would come where I'd eliminate predators pre-trial. Trust me on that, RMAT. Yeah, you ought to email me, and we can talk about that. Yeah, I won't talk about that on a video or a live chat, because there's been things I've done. Uh, yeah. When I get loaded here, I am going to Beaver Dam, Wisconsin. I am sitting over at Edwardsville, Illinois right now. It's only about a 400-mile trip to 387 or so. It's a short trip, but I spent all my time sitting in the dock here today. I got 4 hours, 13 minutes left on my clock. Uh, yeah, the things that the kids have to go through growing up after being abused is it is heartbreaking, and it's stuff that a lot of people will never understand. It can really mess a person up for the rest of their lives. I took her to child services after discovering. Creek Burrs. Ooh, ooh, yeah. Fortunately, we had brought her. Yeah. And see, that's one of my problems right now with this current administration. Okay, they have this open border policy. We have thousands and thousands of children that are being brought in here by child traffickers. You know, they're calling them unaccompanied minors, but what they are is they're children that are being trafficked. Let's face reality here. Okay, I've dealt with that for a long time. Okay, you know, they can try to claim that it's not that, but that's exactly what it is. They're using these children. First off, a lot of these children are bringing drugs across the border when they come, and then once they get here, they're being put into the sex trade. So we need to go back to the policies that we had under Trump, plain and simple. Okay, this administration is doing nothing but child trafficking. And that is my opinion, and I'm sticking to it. YouTube can kiss my ass if they have a problem with that, because that's exactly what is happening right now in the U.S. Is this administration is allowing child trafficking to take place. Okay, they are promoting it by opening the border like they have been, and I am fed up with it. You know, I mean, the wall already had funding. Finish the damn thing. Okay, don't stop construction on it. Finish at least until the funding that was already appropriated for it runs out. Okay, and then we will figure something from there. But don't leave this 10-mile gap in the wall, okay, where people just walk right across. Physical contact. Yeah. See, that was part of the video that I made the other day. Exactly my point. She has issues with physical contact now, and like I said, there are so many ways that the children that have been abused go in their lives, that in order to have be able to cope with what had happened to them. It's just it, it's tragic, the things that those that have been abused have to deal with. And like I said, those that have never been through it will not fully understand it, because it causes some serious mental issues. I had, because of what had happened to me, I had serious anger issues, and I had no problem taking it out on anybody and everybody. I mean, you know, like I said, my wife was abused when she was younger, and her way of dealing with it was she became hypersexual. And I mean, you know, I've known children that took their own lives because of what had happened to them, and they weren't able to find their coping mechanism. So yeah, I have no love lost for anybody that touches a child. I have no love lost for a rapist or any of that kind of crap. You know, you do those crimes, it should be automatic death penalty. That's just my opinion. DNA rapid test last month. Unaccompanied children and children with questionable guardians are being allowed to stay together. It's yeah, that's what I'm saying. You know, it, we had a president in there that when he came in, I mean, the border was out of control, and he got it. He wrangled it back under control. He got it to a decent level, anyhow. You know, granted, there could have been more to been done, but I mean, compared to what we've got now, that this current administration has done away with the policies of the previous administration. I mean, uh, you know, it's the liberal mentality. We all know that he's not the one running the country. The man can't even remember his own name most of the time. He calls his vice president. I mean, and he started making those errors before he was even elected into office. I mean, I remember watching an interview where he called her or well, what he said was a Biden or a Harris Biden administration. Okay, the president is the one that's supposed to be first on the billing, not the vice president. So by saying a Harris Biden administration, he was already telling the people, look, she's going to be the president. I'm just a meat puppet. You know, I mean, this honestly, I don't see this country making it past the next, 9, 10 years. You know, how can you continue on and have a normal life? 1800 versus first story. Former Soviet Union. That's Trump focused a lot of resources on anti-trafficking. Yes, he did. Normal life. I don't think there is a actual normal life for anybody that's been through that kind of stuff. Are bad. I mean, the best you can hope for is a life where you cope. I mean, I still struggle with my demons all the time. I mean, there's times that that the anger builds back up, and I just want to hurt people. But I've learned ways to manage my anger. It is tragic for sure. I think children will always have something that triggers them. They have to learn coping skills. The problem is that with the coping skills, not everybody is able to develop those coping skills, and that's one of the goals that I've had with my helping of abused children is trying to teach them how they can cope with these things in a positive manner rather than a self-destructive manner. I try to teach them that what happened to them was not right, but it wasn't their fault. So they need to not feel guilty for what happened. Okay. And then I try to give them other outlets for their anger, for their shame, because there's a lot of shame involved in that. Even though you did no wrong, you still have this huge sense of shame. But like I said, I know what it's like. I had some serious anger issues because of it, and I turned into a very violent person, and I did a lot of bad things. But over time, I've learned how to deal with it and how to cope with the anger, the shame, the disgust of it, and I try to pass those on to the kids. I'll sit down and I'll talk with them, and and even teenagers and adults. It's king of fun. Here's my view on that. Okay, there is no such thing as an assault rifle. Okay, that's just plain and simple. Assault is an action. Okay, an inanimate object cannot commit an action. Okay, so therefore it cannot assault you. Now the person wielding that tool can assault you with that tool, but there is no such thing as an assault rifle. Okay, assault is something that has to be done by a live person. It can't be done by an inanimate object or a tool. It has to be done by a person, because I've never had any rifle or handgun or anything assault me unless it was being wielded by somebody. It's just my opinion on that. But yes, I do have several rifles, SKS, ARs, just various types. I mean, hell, I had to my uncle, when I was what 13, the military was retiring the Browning automatic rifles and switching over to the M16s and M4s and all that. So he bought a bunch of them from the military and he gave them out as presents. The only thing is that he had to convert them over from full automatic and make them into semi-automatic. But yes, I have an old BAR. Uh, okay, what guns do you use during a SHTF? Whatever guns you can get your hands on and get ammo for, really, is what guns you'd use. But myself, I use a Glock 19, and I have an AR platform rifle, and then I have my shotguns as well. I am partial to a 10 gauge shotgun. It packs a hell of a kick, but it'll stop pretty much anything. 10 gauge might be a little too much for some. That's why they stick with the 12s and the 20 gauges. Uh, you know, but whatever firearm you can get during an SHTF is the best firearm you're going to have. I mean, so you know, I suggest people get familiar with various types of firearms. Like I was saying before, my firearms are only going to be used for self-defense during a SHTF. I won't be using them for hunting. I have other tools for hunting. Like I said, compound bow, recurve bow. I have a crossbow, uh, slingshots. It depends on the game, but yeah, my firearms will only be used for self-defense. Yes, I do let the children know my story, Hoot Owl. That that way they know that I've been through, and that I'm coming from a point of view that knows where they're at. Okay, I can't expect them to trust me to help them if they don't know my story. So I sit down and I tell my story to the children and to the teenagers and even to the adults that I help, because it's it helps them to see that they're not alone, first off, and it lets them see that, hey, okay, this man has been through what I'm going through, and he's managed to survive all these years and deal with it. And if he can do it, I can do it. That kind of things. BARs are pretty darn heavy. Yeah, they are. BARs are extremely heavy rifle. 10 gauge kills on both ends. Yeah, that's true. They kill your shoulder, let me tell you. Are there any certain cutters in the USA, like in England? Uh, are you asking about cutter ships, or what are you asking about here? Are there any certain cutters in the US, like in England? I mean, elaborate on that for me if you would, King of Fun. Well, the thing is, Hoot Owl, I've been through these things, and I know how hard it is to deal with them. And I don't envy anybody that's young and having to try to go through them, especially in these times today. I mean, uh, I've seen the damage it does. I've seen people commit suicide over this. I've know people that have wound up having to be institutionalized because they couldn't deal with it. And if there's any way that I can help these people to keep them from doing self-harm or winding up in a mental institution because of what happened to them, by God, I'm going to do everything I can. But you know, I was especially protective of my children when it came to this subject, because I'd been through it. I didn't want my children to go through it, and thank God they never had to. You know, now my oldest daughter has been with several abusive men, but they weren't sexually abusive. They were physically abusive, and pretty much I took care of every one of them every time she'd come and let me know what the hell was going on, which she doesn't have a problem coming and letting me know when one of them's taking and raising their hand to her. And I give them two options. You can either disappear on your own, or I'll make you disappear. Those are their options. And tell them flat out, don't ever let me see you around my family again. Period. Oh, thieves that cut up the side of the truck. So, well, we don't really have so much of that. I've been in areas where they have pried open the doors on my trailer and tried to offload my freight while I'm driving down the road. But cutting open the sides of my trucks and stuff, no, we don't really have an issue with that. That would be, you're going to cut open my truck. Well, like the last person that they were trying to steal my freight from opening up my trailer doors while having a vehicle right behind me, and they're offloading my stuff. Well, I slammed on my brakes, and that put an end to that. And if you're cutting open the side of my trailer, I'm just coming over into you, and I ain't playing nice. It's like if you're standing in the middle of the interstate trying to stop me from making my way down the road, and I know that you've got ill intentions, don't expect me to hit the brake. You're going to hear my truck spool up. Yeah, I'll be nice enough. I'll hit the air horn as I'm coming through. So you best get the hell out of the way, because this old boy ain't stopping and getting pulled out of his truck like Reginald Denny did back in the 90s. I mean, no. Yeah, I mean, I done got caught in a couple of the riots earlier last year. One of them destroyed my truck. I mean, they never got inside my truck. They were never able to pull me out, but I mean, they did a lot of damage to the outside of the truck. And the insurance adjuster still haven't paid off on that, So, I mean, I don't figure I'll see any money from that for another 5-10 years. But yeah, life's really getting interesting right now, ain't it, people? And I'm still having issues with people in my own family not wanting to face the reality of the things that are going on in the world. There are still members of my family that are fighting me about prepping. That I keep telling them, you got to please at least put in 3 months worth of food, at least in your home. And they'll tell me, oh, well, we can't afford it. We can't afford it. And I sit down and I show them how they can do it. Quit spending money here and here and here and buy food. You don't need to go out to eat every weekend, spend $30, $40 out, $100, whatever you're spending on those meals out to eat. Take that money and buy food with it. No, they can't see what's coming, Garth. I mean, I I thought I had my sister convinced because of last year. I mean, she wound up turning to me for help because how bad things got last year. So I gave her a couple of months worth of food so that her and her husband and everybody could survive for a while, because he'd lost his job and she wasn't working very much, and just various things. And she's still refusing to prepare for what's coming. I didn't have a therapist, but it helped when people trusted me with their stories and didn't know about mine. I learned I wasn't alone. Well, see, Suzanne, that is why I share my story with people, is to try to help them and let them know, no, you're not alone. Okay. You know, there are so many of us out here that have gone through those things, and you know, we're surviving and we're thriving because we've learned that what happened to us doesn't define us. I quit wasting my breath. Life's too short to waste that time. They don't want to waste. It's family. I'm still going to waste my breath. You know, I mean, it is what it is. You know, you can't convince everybody, but you know, then again, I prep extra food and water and everything because right now in my home, okay, technically I only have to take care of me and my wife. I mean, everybody else that's staying with us, I could kick them to the curb, but I don't. Okay, now I do require that they provide their own food and stuff like that, but I still prep for 7 people, even though it's just me and my wife, because I know that there's going to be people I'm going to want to help when it hits the fan. My children, for example, you know, I prep enough food for 7 people, 3 meals a day, you know, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. That way, I've got extra for when I need it. Let's see, what did I miss something here? Young folks don't do that. They live for the moment. Money buys good times. They don't have to worry about if and when. And see that be charming. That is part of societal problem right now, is that we don't teach our children the way that we were taught. Like I was brought up, like I said, by my grandparents that they lived through the Depression, so they taught me the ways that they were taught, you know, and the ways that they had to live. So they always told me to prepare for when things get bad. You know, when things are good, store it away. When things get bad, you've got it. Now, see, we don't raise our kids that way nowadays, and that's the biggest problem. And the reason for that is because people have been brainwashed into thinking that the government will step in and save them, you know, and that's just not going to happen. You know, please consider getting both an amateur radio operator ham license and GMRS radio license, a cheap radio, portable and mobile. Now, see, I'm not going to bother with the ham radios and stuff. I have CB radios and all that, and I've done the ham radio thing before. It just it's not my cup of tea. I'll stick with my CB radios and stuff. I mean, I've got a base station at home with a moonraker antenna and linear and kicker and all that. I can talk overseas on this thing. So I mean, I've got communications. I've planned extra preps for 2 extra families of 4, just assuming they will show up, right? Uh, and a book of listings of all repeaters nationwide will keep you in touch with the world and with it. Well, see, our bad. Most of my family lives within a 50-mile radius of where I'm at. I mean, yeah, I have 3 counties full of kin surrounding me. I mean, you know, there's in each county, you probably got 4 or 5,000 relatives. So, I mean, I'm not too worried about being able to stay in touch. My family's been in Illinois for, oh, hell, since it was actually founded as a state. King of Fun says that he's prepping for disease X, right? X means that you never know what it can be, so be prepared. I met my husband on the CB radio. Okay. What are you doing to prep for that King of Fun? Wasn't even for me. Yeah, well within CB range. I mean, I got no problem communicating canned food and more canned food. Now, King of Fun, are you canning your own food or is it all going to be store-bought canned foods? Because I do both. I mean, but starting to lean more toward the home canned foods than I am the store-bought because, well, in the home canned, I know what I've got in there, and in the canned foods that you buy at the store, you never know what the hell you're getting, really. You know, I do love the misconception of the expiration dates on canned foods. People throw that stuff out all the time, and it's still good for many, many, many years after the expiration date. Some people say, "Oh, well, it's still good for up to 5 years." I hate to tell you, but it's actually good longer than that. The canning process in which our commercial foods are canned, uh, the food can actually last 30 plus years without really any degradation to the food. But people just don't realize that. What did I miss here? Okay, any supplements? Okay. Yeah, a lot of preservatives in store-bought foods. Oop, sorry, didn't mean to do that. Let's see. Now, I'm not sure if that question was for me or not, but uh, meds, I'm not on any. My wife's not on any. We do uh, stock up on, you know, uh, over-the-counter stuff, but we don't go overboard on it like a lot of people do. Um, you know, and we rotate that stuff out on a regular. Plus, I've been studying a lot of medicinal herbs myself, so that I know, um, because eventually the pharmacies and everything would run out. So natural remedies would be the way to go. Learn to grow your own food soon, because the day is coming when the cans in the stores will be gone. That's very true. Be charming. I mean, we've already got plants started at home. Right now, it's still not quite close to planting for us. The ground's extremely saturated where I live right now, but we're planning on basically ripping up our whole backyard and planting. I mean, we've got seeds started in the house. We've got green beans and we've got peppers and beets and I mean just all sorts of stuff. Tomato plants. We've been starting a lot of plants in the house. Do you use any TikTok? No, I don't use any TikTok apps. I don't like TikTok. I, be honest with you, I don't care much for social media to begin with. Uh, I've been pulled down on several social media sites, banned from Twitter. So yeah, that's true, Garth. There are a lot of trees that have medicinal values to it. Well, I mean, come on, we get our aspirin from willow tree bark. So I mean, there are a lot of trees that have a good medicinal value to them. All summer long, I live on Benadryl doses. If it bites or stings, it finds me. Can't have enough. Yeah, I used to be that way, but growing up on farms, I was around so many chemicals that have been absorbed into my skin over the years, and are in my fatty tissues and everything, that insects don't like me anymore. They have a tendency to stay the hell away. Now, um, once in a while I'll get bit, but most of the time, all those biting critters, they leave me the hell alone. Just got too many. I mean, what was it, 10, 12 years ago, something like that. I worked for an agricultural co-op, and I was running the pump tanker trucks, and anyhow, I'm pumping chemicals into the sprayer, pesticides into the sprayer, and the hose burst, and I got covered from head to toe, every bit of me soaked through and through with pesticides. I worked pretty much the whole day still covered in those pesticides. So I mean, a lot of it got absorbed into my skin there. Why do you not work on Yeah, excavator. Black walnut hulls are great for a lot of different skin issues. Plus, makes a great stain. Yeah, I've used it for stain. I've never used black walnut for skin issues, but then again, I don't have any real skin issues. Uh, Lee Who. King of Fun, do you mind? Okay, King of Fun. We just got one. I can't wait to play on it. I'm still sitting here. They've been loading me. Still got a red light. God knows when they're ever going to get done with me. Probably about the time I run out of hours. You know. Um, hmm, let's see here. Now, if I get trolls in here, somebody say something, and I will kick them out of here. So, you know, and I've had enough of the bullshit drama from people lately. I mean, they want to troll somebody, let them go somewhere else. No. Trucking now is you can work 14, but you can only drive 11 of the 14, and then you have to take a 10-hour break before you're able to drive again. Yeah, they changed a lot of rules in trucking. I wouldn't know about that one, Hoot Owl. I don't really pay attention to my diet. You know, I'm a truck driver. I eat all the crap that I get out here on the road. Yeah, if I run out of hours before I get loaded, then I am basically stuck where I'm at. I mean, I can use personal conveyance, but that's only to get me to a safe haven. You know, other than that, I'm not allowed to roll until I've taken the 10 hours off duty. No. Um, King of Fun here in America, we have a lot of touch freight still. I mean, now the companies I'm driving for here are 95% no touch freight. Okay, now I used to throw my own freight all the time, and it helped keep me in shape. But more and more companies started going to no touch freight uh, just because it's simpler to get a warm body in the seat if they don't have to do any of the work. You know, now me personally, I preferred the hand unloading and getting paid for that. Uh, they just they steered away from it. You know, they most of the companies now they tell you, you know, we hired you as a truck driver, not a dock hand. But I miss the dock hand work, you know, because it gave me exercise that I don't get sitting behind the wheel. You know, and a lot of the shippers and receivers won't even let you get out of your truck and walk around anymore. Uh, it's I when I was living in North Carolina, I hauled cars, so I got plenty of exercise. You know, and got a lot of boo boos on that job too, falling off the because I drove. I hold a Stinger trailer that didn't have side rails on it, so you know, one false move, you fall off, you know, 13 foot to the ground, lay there for a few minutes, catch your breath, get back up. Garlic helps with mosquitoes. Yeah, there's actually several. White sage is great for repelling mosquitoes. Garth. Uh, no, black face hornet's nest with a freaking back the left pheromones. The suckers have been chasing me ever since. Yeah, the hornets are vicious. I mean, I had a friend. We were out walking in the woods one time, and we seen a hornet's nest in a tree off in the distance. And I told him, "Look, I'm gonna route around it because hornets are very aggressive the closer you get to their nest." And no sooner than I'd said that than he picked up a rock and threw it at the hornet's nest. Well, as soon as he picked up that rock and let it go, my ass was hauling ass down the trail in the opposite direction, trying to find some water to dive into. He got stung something 30, 40 times before he was able to finally catch up to me and dive in the water. But yeah, I told him, don't be stupid around hornets. They were already coming out of the nest as soon as that rock had left his hand. Uh, Tigger, you've been lurking, huh? Been mud ducking on me. Uh, can a guy get an excavator job in America? Yeah, there's plenty of excavator jobs here in America. I mean, they're everywhere. You'd be surprised. Uh, no. Well, I mean, the last time I did a firearms video, I had a big dispute with YouTube over it. I mean, I don't see the issue. I mean, there are plenty of firearms channels out here that teach people how to use them and everything. But because I guess they had a problem with the fact that I was teaching people to field strip and clean their guns and reassemble them in a SHTF, so they refused to allow the video to post and gave me a warning over that shit. So I feel for you there with the withdrawals from the POTB. Oh man, this is ridiculous. Been here all damn day. 8 hours, still ain't loaded. I would rather use the hornets on the bad guys than wasps. Wasps I can deal with. The hornets, those are some mean suckers now. I mean, oh my lord. Uh, you know, I had a dog that dug up a hornet's nest one time. It was in an old tree stump, and the dog's out there digging it up. And oh, I got stung like 15, 16 times before I was able to get the dog free and run back to the house. I had to take the dog to the vet, and the dog was going into anaphylactic shock because of it, because he'd been stung several times. Wasps, we get the red wasps. I guess they're called paper wasps or whatever. Around where I live, we get a lot of them. I have an old 1990s Jeep, Cherokee Laredo. It's We were going to use it for a bug out vehicle. Battery's dead on it right now, but it's been sitting there for a year and a half, and I haven't started it in probably 6 months now. You know, but I want to prove a point to a lot of people out here. So whenever I'm home again, I'm going to see if the ground's soft enough. I'm going to pull up my car next to the Jeep and jump start the Jeep. Now that Jeep has had the same tank of gas in it for a year and a half, and it's just been sitting, no stable put in there. I guarantee you that damn Jeep will start up with that old gas in there. I'm not going to put any fresh gas in it. I'm just going to use the gas that's already in it. Well, see, Garth, here's the thing. I'm making $20 an hour just sitting here talking to you guys. Okay. So I'm not getting hurt really. Plus, I'll still get the money for hauling this load. So, I mean, it's it is what it is. I've learned to deal with it. I've been doing this for a long time. About putting my bees on strategic places, but only get me. And I, yeah, Yeah, bees do get pretty mean about that. Turn on a little bit of light here. Guess I should probably plug in my ring light, but that's a little better. Took too long most. I'm going to disagree with you there, King of Fun. He said the most powerful uh, weapon in the world is a flamethrower. Most powerful weapon in the world is what's between your ears. I can go up against people with guns and stuff and still walk away the victor because I'll use what's between my ears rather than just sheer brute force. If you can stay calm under pressure, and I've been in combat zones, and hell, I've ran out of ammo in combat zones. So I'm still here. I probably better roll down my window. Well, we use propane for home defense in a manner as well. So uh, it can be a good defensive weapon. You just sometime I'll go into detail on that. Yeah, you gotta use your brains rather than your brawn a lot of times. I mean, take me for instance. I'm getting old. I'm out of shape. I have COPD. I've done a lot of damage to my body. My knees are. I can't run. My knees just. I've had both of them replaced. So, do you think I'm going to try to go brute force, or am I going to try to outsmart my enemy? You know, do you know about the Angry Grandpa show from America? No, I have no idea about an Angry Grandpa show. Yeah, that's right. I'm getting old, be charming. I mean, I can't do some of the stuff I used to be able to do. Now I still go out and I still train with my mag, and I teach them a lot because I was in the security field for a long time. I did uh, I did contract security overseas, so I'm very good at my job. When I walked away from it, I was making $400,000 a year. So I mean, I must have been pretty good. But you know, they actually offered me a lot more money if I would stay in the job, but I wasn't going to. My body's taken too much abuse. I mean, I've got bullet hole stab wounds. I mean, my body's kind of used up. Well, Garth, it's actually better to not fight. To be honest, if you can find a way to retreat, it's better to live, than to have to fight. I mean, I'll fight if I have to. Menopausal women are the most dangerous. Don't discount the old folks completely. No, never discount somebody just because they're old. I mean, you know, hell, I got a friend of mine. He's 78 years old, works out every day, still runs. I mean, the man is in great physical shape. His mental acuity is still top notch. Never underestimate an older person just because they're old. Not right now. I can't look it up right now. I'm using my phone for the live stream. If I go to messing with anything, it generally will shut down my live stream. Uh, but I'll look it up after the live stream is done. I've been on here for a while anyhow. I'm not even sure how long I've been on here. uh, 1 hour and 39 minutes. So let's say the most dangerous women I have ever met in my life, though, weren't menopausal women, to tell you the truth. You know, they were women that were trying to protect their children. Those were the most dangerous women I'd ever met in my life. Oh, they better get done with me soon here. Yeah, this load was supposed to deliver today. I don't see that happening. It was supposed to have loaded yesterday, but you know, it was. We had trailers here. They just didn't do it. They didn't load them. Grannies have killed for 25% off. uh, Now, my grandmother on my father's side, she was a little Irish woman. She only stood about 4'11", and I'd dare anybody to piss her off. I really did, because she was. Uh, I seen her. Well, I got in trouble in the 7th grade. Got into a fight. I didn't start the fight, but I finished it, and I got expelled from school because of it. My grandmother, I come home and told her what had happened. She took me straight back to the school, and the dean of the school, the principal, he was a 6'4", 300-pound guy. She backed him into a corner and made him piss his pants. So I mean, she was somebody to be reckoned with. Just 115 million, 15 million after taxes. I think it's less than that after taxes, because generally the taxes on lottery winnings are about 45%. My mom would drive over 100 miles for 5 cents off on gas, right? Do you watch the all-new police body cam videos on YouTube? No, I don't. I don't. Um, I've seen enough of that kind of stuff. Yeah, the body cam videos are great. Okay, don't get me wrong, but one of our biggest problems is that you know a lot of times the footage that's leaked from those is footage that only shows a small portion of what happened. It doesn't show the entire scenario, which causes a lot of problems. Yeah. Same way with the people standing around recording videos. They edit the video to where it just shows the police as a bad guy, but it doesn't show what the criminal had done. Now I actually when I was married to my first wife, I was going to become a police officer for LAPD, and I'd no sooner finished the police academy than my wife at the time decided that she didn't like the idea of me becoming a cop, and so that put the kibosh on that. And then she started balking at all my other career choices, and finally I told her, okay, you didn't want me to be a cop, you didn't want me to do this and that. Well, you know what? I'm tired of the bullshit. I'm going to do what I want to do, and I became a security contractor. You know, oh yeah, I mean the stuff you see on the road, way better than you'll see on videos. That's funny. Ban everything. You know, yeah, I've worked as a bouncer in a bar before, and it was an interesting job. I worked as a bouncer at a strip club before, so I've held lots of different jobs in my life. Yeah, I mean, I used to have a dash cam in my truck to record some of the stuff on the road, But then companies started putting in their own dash cams and everything. So I pretty much retired mine. It's sitting in a box at home. All right, be charming. You have a good one. Stay safe. All right. I appreciate you being here. I'm probably going to be ending the live stream here shortly, anyhow. I do appreciate everybody coming in and, helping me to pass the time. This can get tricky come closing time. Oh, yeah. Closing time was always the worst whenever I worked as a bouncer. And I'm not the biggest guy in the world. I mean, I'm actually not as big as what a lot of people think. I'm 5'8". Okay. Back when I worked as a bouncer, I was 180 pounds. Okay. And everybody used to always start shit with me because, I wasn't a huge guy and all that. The thing people don't realize is that you don't have to be a big man to hurt somebody. Okay. So shit. The one guy that about whooped my ass in my life, hell, he only came up about mid chest on me, but he was all over me like a damn spider monkey. He made one fatal mistake and he slowed down for a minute, and I managed to get my hands on him, and that was the end of that fight. But I mean, this guy had me rocking. I mean, I was just dazed and out of it. I mean, he was taking me to town, but that's one of the biggest mistakes that people make is they look at somebody's size and they automatically assume, well, I can't whoop their ass because look at how big they are, how strong they are. It don't matter how big a person is or how strong they are. I mean, I've taken down people that were 4 and 5 times my size. I mean, biggest guy I ever fought was 7'6" tall, weighed damn near 400 pounds. Okay. I won the fight. He went to the hospital. It didn't matter that he was bigger and stronger. I was smarter. He thought that his size was what was going to win him the fight. Size don't mean shit. People need to learn that. In our society, we always think bigger is better. Not always. But I see that I've seen a couple of live streams getting ready to start. So I think I'm going to wrap this up. I appreciate y'all for being here. Y'all stay safe. Have a good night. And keep on stacking and stocking. Keep prepping. Let's hang on here. I've kept a very heavy metal cymbal stand. To my drum set. All 5 members of the band had at least some training in martial arts. So, and see, that's the thing too, is you don't have to have training in martial arts. You just have to have will. Because I'll be honest with you. I mean, I've got a large history of background in martial arts, and street fight will beat a martial artist pretty much damn near every time. As long as the street fighter is using his head, anyhow. But y'all have a good night, and like I said, stay safe, keep prepping, because you never know what's coming down the line. Yep, I agree, Hoot Owl. Better to be David than Goliath. So I'll talk to y'all again some other time whenever I have a little bit of time. Possibly this weekend coming up. If I don't do a live stream, if the weather's nice, I probably won't do a live stream. I'll probably be taking the kids out to camp. I'm still trying to teach my current wife's 2 children about survival and stuff like that. And they're still pretty wild kids. So it'll be, every time I take them camping, it's a real experience. But I'll probably record some of it so you all see what it would actually be like to be out in the woods with kids during an SHTF. So anyhow, this has been Dan with We the People. Y'all have a good night. Stay safe. don't do anything I wouldn't do. But then again, there's not a lot I wouldn't do. So we'll talk to y'all later. Bye bye.